I've lived all my life on planet Earth, and I started making art before I could walk. Not a serious bone in its body. It's humorous. I try to be humorous because if I'm sad, it's very sad, and if I'm aggressive, it's very aggressive. So I try to be light.
When we opened at the brewery, he started coming here, and we had the idea for the first chalkboard of doing the Sistine Chapel. And then we just sort of struck a deal. He thought it would be funny, we thought it would be funny, and so then it just sort of created a perfect storm of an outlet for both him and for our silly ideas.
There was a lot of talk, and originally members of the staff were drawing the board, and you know, just this and that, welcome to Druid City, and it slowly got stranger and crazier, and there were people doing this and that to it, and then I said, man, I want to try that. And so we talked about various things we could do, and finally did one, and it kind of went over real well with the Bear Bryant and Saban and the Crystal Football creation of Adam's Sistine Chapel thing.
I think that they have both had a positive and, to some people would say, a negative impact, at least if they disagreed or misconstrued what we were going for. You know, we had several people that have been upset at some of them. Generally, they're not brewery patrons, so that was okay, but I think it's brought advertising that a small business like us could never afford to have that kind of exposure.
I think each time I draw, it gets a little easier. I find the picture I need of his face, and sometimes it's difficult. Like the smiling face, for instance, we were talking about like an evil, angry Nick at first, you know, on this one. Because, oh, you know, he's always like that. And like I said, but really evil is when he smiles. It's because like, he never smiles, he's always mad, but if he smiles, it's like, whoa.
You know, I think Rich really brings such artistic merit. It always amazes me how he's able to get the faces and everything in chalk, you know, and it always amazes me that he's so excited to do it, and the fact that it's a temporary medium. It's not something that's going to last forever. It's not oil paint. It's not anything like that. But this, I think, brings a new challenge to him, and also it highlights his art, you know, his regular art and everything else that he does.
Without a doubt, I think the one that took the most work and there was a lot of hidden stuff and fun in it was the Last Supper, because that just covered the whole board. That was all the coaches, you know, and there was a lot of work involved in research and the painting and the poses and the faces, the colors, the coaches. I mean, before I didn't know all the SEC coaches' names. I think that story where it says I drew Nick Saban as Jesus, I didn't really mean that. It was like, it's a parody. I didn't mean for Nick Saban to be Jesus. I meant for Nick Saban to be Nick Saban in a scene where all the coaches are doing like the same thing. I mean, I can be blasphemous as anything, but I wasn't intentionally being blasphemous there, and a lot of people got mad about that.
I think the Steve Spurrier Nirvana baby of coaching, Nevermind, was my favorite just because it worked so well. And that it was out of the parlance of strictly being Alabama. I mean, also some of the Les Miles ones. I mean, wherever Les Miles goes, I'm gonna root for, because that dude just made football like fun, you know. It wasn't canned answers, you know. It was something, and once again, that rolls back around to what we're trying to prove, that it should be fun.
It's playful in itself, just because it's chalk. It's got this Zen thing going on where it's not permanent, you know. I mean, this place is really grown in popularity, not only in town, but from people who come here just to see this place, you know, and drink the beer. I mean, the beer is really good too. I've never heard personally what he thinks about it. I do understand that, no, he doesn't have the time or the inclination to come down here and look at it himself. Like, he's a whole different level of fame. He's like, I'm too busy making the next team win the championship again.
You know, I really don't think Nick Saban has time for us. I think he's such a focused dude. I mean, he might have heard in passing, and as long as we don't make them too grumpy, and everybody knows that it's the lighter side, and you know, we're happy to be here in Tuscaloosa and representing, and happy to have fun with the university and want to support that. So I've never heard what Nick Saban thinks, and I don't think he would ever tell me.
Well, okay, well, hi. In case you watch this, roll Tide.